You found our show, so come on in and take a seat. Warrior class, we got the keys. Dun, 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 dun. To get you where you need to be, just study our show, and you're gonna grow like crazy. Watching you will see. Dun, 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 dun. Warrior class, we got the keys, just watch our show, 'cause it's for you and your babies.
Welcome to Warrior Class.
Where the teachers whoop ass.
And you will too
If
if
you
you pass. All right, this is the critique versus criticism episode.
Yeah, bro. And you may recognize the name because we have done a similar episode on the other network, but it's been revamped by our masterful Baba for the new Black Power Media. So thank you, Baba.
Yeah.
I do have a little bit of news, a few odds and ends. First of all, as everyone or as many of us might know, the U.S. is bombing Nigeria, or at least it did a couple of days ago. Supposedly the reason is because there is a faction of radical Islam that is killing Christians over there. So it's probably, not really the reason. My mom happens to be in Africa right now, not too far, and not far enough away from Nigeria for me. But she said that they have the BBC over there and that they haven't mentioned it at all on air, and that the little ticker tape on the bottom has kind of given them a sense about it. That's the most that they're talking about it, and this is in the region that's close to Nigeria. So it's personal, for me for that reason. Let's see. Today is the second day of Kwanzaa. I don't know how many people out there might actively be, or just kind of sort of be observing Kwanzaa, but today is the second principle of the Nguzo Saba, which is Kujichagulia, meaning self-determination. It means to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. In commitment and practice, the second principle of the Nguzo Saba is Kujichagulia, or self-determination. It demands that we as African people define, defend, and develop ourselves instead of allowing or encouraging others to do this. In defining identity, the first act of a free people is to shape its world in its own image and interest. And it is a statement about their concept of self and commitment to self-determination. So happy Kwanzaa again to anyone who is observing it. And I have two other news stories. One of them is very sad, and I mentioned it last week, and I'm really hesitant to bring it up again because it is horrible. But there was a story about a man who looks like us, who got into an argument with the child of his mother, the mother of his child, excuse me, and got so angry that he took and was so sick in the mind that he took the baby car seat out of the car and sat it on the ground, and then he pulled off. I read a little bit more into the story, and actually, what happened is that when he was pulling off, he hit the car seat. And I'm not sure if it was him just hitting the car seat or others coming along and hitting it as well, but the baby did not survive. And now he's been sentenced to 30 years in prison. And the to read the article and see the excuses that were made and how this is just a horrible accident. He himself said it was a horrible accident. Members of his family were saying that it was a terrible accident, but that he shouldn't be punished. Um, it's just a horrible tale of someone who doesn't want to be accountable, but a good lesson for a lot of us, to just the lesson is in there somewhere. I know I had a reason for bringing the story up, but thinking about it just is very upsetting. Um, we just need to be teaching our young men a lot better than this. Um, the last story that I have is actually about something that happened here locally in Atlanta. There was a escape by a prisoner from a hospital that is right downtown, not too far from where I work. So I actually talked with some of my coworkers about this, about staying alert because this guy was somewhere in the area for a while. So I think it was in the past few days he actually found his way to not too far from where I actually live, which is where he's based out of. And in the middle of the night, he went to a sister's house, who was a single mother who had her child at home with her, knocked on the door and asked to use her phone. It was like, I think, midnight or something like that, a little after midnight. So the sister did not allow him to use her phone. She kept the door locked and she did call the police and he was recaptured. So, that's just another tale of us making sure that we're alert and, not taking any stories when people go up and, they want to. Sometimes we can be a little bit too trusting, especially because this was illegal. And there are people out there who would, trust someone like that and actually allow them to use their phone, let them into the house. We know that, that's not the right thing to do. So just stay alert out here.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you have some news today?
I what?
I said, what about you? Do you have some news today?
Nah.
No news.
Nah.
I'm trying to go into. Oh, there we go. I want to see what family
My
we have on here.
my and my boys were lost in upstate New York woods and had to knock on white folks' door to use the phone.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation when you're in that. You know, when you have to do that. The one time when my family had just moved to an area with that the majority of the people did not look like me. I was 17 and I ran out of gas. And I walked and I went to the first house that I got to and knocked on the door, and it was an older black couple. And I was so relieved. And the man went, got gas, took me back to the car, put the gas in the car, and sent me on my way. And it was funny because I ended up finding out that it was the parents of someone who I went to high school with. But it just so happened that I didn't have to. I was knocking on. I didn't know whose door I was knocking on, but yeah, it can be very scary. Let's see. Greetings to Eugene Mason and I Manifesto, and welcome. I Manifesto. I don't think you were here last week, were you?
I think maybe he signed on late or something.
I was there was a few people who I remember weren't here last week. We miss you when you're not here. We understand that you have things to do, though.
Now, over the holidays, anybody? Oh, he wasn't here. Uh, Anybody do anything interesting over the holidays? Not buying gifts or nothing like that, but anything interesting happen?
I slept. That's the interesting
Yeah,
thing.
I did too. Yeah, I slept too.
Yes. 1 cup? No, a quarter cup.
We can still hear you on me, nigga.
I don't know if anyone heard, but my child wants to measure out a full cup of maple syrup and put it on his waffles. And he was being very responsible by making sure that that was the right thing to do. So, these are the kind of emergencies that I am subject to whenever we're recording.
I didn't participate. I never do. Yeah, I don't either.
Oh no.
Yeah, I wish my mother happy holidays as I always do, showing her respect. But I don't. And people will say Merry Christmas. I say Happy Holidays or whatever. But and really, it's really not a holiday because holiday means holy days.
Right.
It's really not that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So
Greetings, Jadarian.
yeah. Oh, wait. Critique versus criticism. I'm a martial artist. I also teach martial arts to children and adults from 6 years old to 600 years old if they still desire to train. Over half a century of training and over 40 years of teaching has shown me something. Many people don't understand the difference between criticism and critique. That confusion causes real damage. Martial artists who've been criticized and hurt by it often become defensive when anyone tries to offer a critique because they are different, because they don't know there's a difference. We throw out criticism, mistaking it for critique. And when the person gets upset, we scoff at them for having thin skin. We don't consider that their reaction may be to our destructive handling of their work. If someone attacks, you should defend. That isn't thin skin, that's intelligence.
What about constructive criticism? You've heard that, you've probably said it. But the truth is, constructive criticism doesn't exist. Giving hard feedback is hard. When we have to tell someone they didn't meet the mark, we anticipate disappointment or defensiveness, and we reach for language that might soften the blow. Constructive criticism. Those words fight each other. Constructive seeks to build up. Criticism is review for the purpose of finding fault, often experienced as tearing down. And science suggests the phrase itself can confuse the receiver. Constructive or criticism, friend or foe, safety or threat. The body elevates to process the uncertainty, which is the worst possible state for receiving challenging feedback.
Ultimately, constructive criticism often serves the giver more than the receiver. It's a way to feel better about delivering difficult feedback as if the phrase itself creates safety. But a healthy feedback culture depends on relational trust and emotional safety. If feedback is to be beneficial, we should remove what impedes receptivity, starting with language that triggers threat.
Criticism is a cutting down, a diminishing of an idea, thought, creation, circumstance, way of life, word, or action. Since being affirmed, recognized, acknowledged, feels sacred to us, we spend our lives fearing criticism. We learn to avoid it. Criticism often aims at a higher truth, assuming a single truth exists and can be reached through the right disciplines and lifestyles. It becomes a knowledge as dominance game. So when we're criticized, we experience it as an indictment of the self. I'm insufficient. It becomes identity based.
Critique isn't born of identity making. Critique isn't in service of a single truth. It aims toward liberation and possibility. Critique opens questions and destabilizes single truth claims so difference can be included rather than excluded.
Words matter. A critique is a detailed evaluation of something. Critique, as a verb, is not synonymous with criticize. Balagoon critiqued my hook punch means he evaluated my stance, my elbow placement, the turning of my hip, the positioning of my fist, but it does not necessarily mean he found it lacking. Balagoon criticized my hook punch means he had a low opinion of it.
Criticism finds fault. Critique examines structure. Criticism hunts what's lacking. Critique identifies what's working. Criticism condemns what it doesn't understand. Critique asks clarifying questions. Criticism tends to be negative. Critique is orientated towards improvement. Criticism is vague. Critique is concrete and specific. Criticism hardens the room. Critique can use humor to reduce threat. Criticism often targets the person as well as the work. Critique stays on the subject. So that's the difference. Critique it shows you have an expertise in something and you critique something else or someone else. Right. When on our Patreon, which you should join if you haven't already, we critique other martial artists and what they're doing and, their techniques. We don't criticize them. We critique them. All right. Yeah, so we're always searching for what's valuable in it, in the technique. Some techniques is nothing valuable, but we're always seeking the value in it because it'd be easy to tear them down.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I really gleaned from this was that criticism, especially in its nature, tears someone down, and that alone should be a reason why we are looking to do something else, especially when we're dealing with someone who we care about, someone who we love, our children. We tend to have to evaluate our children probably more than anyone else, but other loved ones too, whoever's close to us. So, you have to think about when you're giving them feedback on maybe a situation that didn't go the way that it might have. Really think, are you in that criticism space or are you in the critique space? I remember. Oh, go ahead.
Hold on. I Manifesto asks what languages they both from. It's from Zulu. It means yes.
I was gonna say I remember taking a parenting class from um actually local brother and a sister here a few years ago, and they talked about this concept of negating someone's being, which basically is like when you're talking to your children and you tell them you're lazy, or you're telling them that they're something, you're characterizing them as something, you're greedy, you're this, then you're equating what they are with this negative thing. And so you're pushing aside almost their humanity, or their ability to change, and telling them you are this thing, rather than you telling them, okay, you did something that was selfish, or you did something that was unwise, which is you not telling them that they're this thing, but that they did something that had these qualities, which always can allow them to grow and change, and not get this vision of themselves that they are this negative thing that you continue to tell them that they are. So I think that's one, like, sort of way that we can, I guess, practically use the criticism versus critique concept.
And when you critique someone, like when Ominiki gave the example of the punch, um, you can criticize anybody's punch, anybody's. But to critique it is to talk about. Now you can say it was off at the angle or the punch or whatever, but don't tear them down. It's not a personal attack on them. You're talking about a technique, right? So talk about the way the technique should be thrown. Not say it should be thrown like this, but you didn't do that.
Right. Yeah, well.
Just talk about the way it should be thrown, and then you observe them as they're punching. Say, punch like so and so. No, you don't. No, that's not Yoruba. Yoruba for yes is
I'm trying to think too.
God damn it. Yoruba for yes. Yeah, it's not Yoruba. That's Zulu. That's Zulu for yes. Yoruba for yes is God dog. It's right at the tip of my tongue too, but if my wife was here, she could tell me.
There's about 4 things on the internet
What do you mean?
uh, for yes in Yoruba.
Benny. Yeah, that's it. Benny.
That was the first one.
Yeah, that's it. Benny. Beeni. Bee. B. If both those E's have dots under them, which is sound. Benny.
Okay, we had a few of those.
Yeah, Brittany says Benny or I don't know but Benny is it. Yes.
And Ras y Condeo.
Yeah, Ekundayo.
Econdayo. Thank you
Says
both.
Benny. Yes. Ross Ekundayo. Is that Baba Ross?
I'm sorry, I have to excuse myself for a second, Bob.
Okay. So no. Yebo is Zulu. I've never heard of but in fact, we often have a priest stay with us from Nigeria, and you hear him say Bani.
Yeah, Ed was another one of the ones that came up on online in Google,
That must be like a colloquial thing.
probably.
I've never heard that though. No, I'm in Florida. I know him in Atlanta though. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that name before. Um,
So in my class, people will often say Yebo for yes because one, I teach African martial arts, and that's not just Yoruba, but Yebo just sounds like a yeah, a cool yeah, Yebo. You know,
yeah,
band need it doesn't really sound that cool, but
yeah. My son says yeah, ball all the time, especially in school and in class, because that's just something that he was taught. And he took Zulu for I think 2 years. So
okay.
they, you know, that was one of the main languages for a while. If anyone has any examples that they want to chime in, personal examples that they've experienced critique versus criticism, please do. There was a story that I wanted to share that I saw recently. It is not critique versus criticism. Um, but it was a little long, so I didn't want to share it in the beginning. I'll try to shorten it as much as possible. I'm not going to read it, but let me just pull it up so I can refer to it. But I found it a good lesson. It was really long to read, uh, which is, excuse me, it's kind of sad because it was just like an online post, so it probably wasn't that long. But it may not have ever happened, to be honest. But I view it as many people view the Bible or other religious books, which is which is allegory. You know, a story meant to teach you a lesson, whether it happened or not. It was about basically a man who was in Atlanta. This is in the 80s. He lived with his mother, and his mother was watching a popular preacher at that time on television. And he noticed that, you know, his mom would so often, because back then, I'm sure if anyone remember, I'm sure a lot of us do remember back when they used to just be asking for so many donations and, you know, just doing this whole, which they still do, but I think it was more, maybe a little bit more mainstream back then. I definitely saw it a lot more back then. But his mom would give money that she didn't have to this preacher. She'd send money, and she would have so much joy at sending money and then having to miss meals or not pay bills in order to send money off to this preacher. So what the guy did was he noticed that back then, you know, it was an 800 number that you had to call in order to make the donation. So he had a rather rudimentary computer back then. I think it cost him $200, which would be probably 1,000 or more now. And he decided that what he was going to do, because he knew with 800 numbers that it's free for people to call you. But back then they had to pay, that particular entity had to pay $1 each time they received a call. So he set up a program on his computer that would constantly call the program. And it allowed, basically, I think it would hang on the phone for a few seconds and then hang up and then call back. So he started costing them thousands of dollars in having his computer do that. And in addition to him costing them thousands of dollars, other people couldn't get in to make calls and make donations. So that was another way that he was costing them thousands of dollars. And I think eventually they, I guess they did some research through the phone company and found out that it was him, and they were able to make him stop doing it. But he, by then, I think he had cost them almost maybe $500,000 or $1 million. It was a tremendous amount of money that he had cost them by then with just having that to happen. And that story, actually, let me read what the kind of tagline to the story was. It says, every open system has a weakness, and sometimes the simplest approach is the most powerful one. That was my takeaway from that story. And it reminded me of what we learn about guerrilla warfare. That sometimes when you think that you're not powerful, or when you just have simple tools, you may not see how much you can really do to take down a larger and seemingly much more powerful entity. But if you're ingenuitive, if you're imaginative, there's all kinds of things that you can do to, uh, excuse me, I have so much going on right now, to achieve your purpose. So that was one of the
or if you're not creative and imaginative, but you're unified, you can do that too. So
but organized is another way of,
there's an ant in Africa called the siapu, and the siapu ant, I mean, they're powerful. They will travel from one area to another, like the regular ants in the middle and the guard ants on the outside, guarding the colony. But also, if the siapu ant runs into an elephant, now ant, elephant, right? The siapu ants will all swarm that elephant. And those little ants, unified, organized, they can take down that elephant.
yeah, well,
And strip it down to the bones in a short time. So we can be like the siapu.
yeah, well.
We can be organized. Now if you have somebody in your crew that's also creative, that's good.
Right.
But you may not be creative, but if you're organized, unified, you can take down the elephant.
Yeah, well. There's I think it's an Akan proverb that I learned from my son's school at a certain point when he was very small. It's when spiders unite, they can tie up a lion. So, same principle. Excuse me. I don't know what is going on with my nose. But what you just said reminded me of something, Baba, but it just left my head just that fast. Let's see. Brittany says, Sister Brittany says, prosperity gospel was rampant back then. Yes, absolutely. And it was one of the most popular ones. Not one of the black ones, but one of the other ones. And Eugene Mason says the powers of unity and organization. Absolutely.
Right. Now, prosperity gospel, it was rampant in the 80s, rampant in the 90s. I don't know if it's rampant nowadays, but
it's rampant enough.
Right.
There's definitely still mothers and grandmothers sending their last pennies to these people that already got private jets.
Now, I remember Reverend Ike being on television, and he said, "Now, what I want you to do is draw a picture of your hand. Draw your hand, and send that to me. And I'm going to pray on that picture of your hand. And you send that and money." And there were people really doing that shit.
Yeah.
Did that start with Billy Graham? I don't know. I don't know if it started with Billy Graham, but he was one of the ones.
And it's funny how I think it almost reminds me of the holidays or holy days as well, is the things that we will accept when religion becomes attached to it, that it would be absurd to you otherwise. But once someone puts like a religious bent on it, all of a sudden it makes perfect sense. When I was a little girl, and I was very little because I was still in Chicago, I remember there was this Snickers commercial that used to come on where the person would have a handful of peanuts and they would close their hand, and when they opened their hand, it was a Snickers bar. And I was small enough to believe that you could do that. Like I used to get peanuts and try to like close my hand and see if I could make a Snickers bar out of it. And of course it never worked, but it almost sounds like that to me, It's like something that a child would believe is something that you will believe once someone tells you that, your deity has ordained it.
Now, with the peanuts, I don't like peanuts, so I used to get these apples. Everybody would get in Chicago. They have these things called taffy apples, which is
apple.
Yeah, appy tapples, which is the apple dipped in caramel, and then you roll it in peanuts. And we would buy them, take orders for people and buy them and have contests and all that stuff. I always would get the ones without peanuts. I was the only person in my school, in my elementary school, who got them without peanuts. And I remember I was eating one of them, like it was almost the end of school. They had an assembly to give everybody the peanut, the appy tapples. I was eating one, and this dude who we knew his family well, he was a best friend of. He was the best friend of. Well, his mother was the best friend of my mother. He starts to go in the bag and take my apple. No, he didn't bite it. He probably would have, but he said, "Man, you got the ones without the peanuts, man. I want to try this. And I took the stick out of the one in my mouth and stabbed him in his hand.
How old were you again? How old were you again, Baba?
8.
Okay, just making sure.
And then I mean, if I was 18, I'd have done it too. But yeah, I was 8. So then I folded my thing back up, put my stick back in my apple. I had 3 apples actually. He was going to take one of them, you know, and I wasn't having it. But no, if he had bitten my apple, I probably would have stabbed him in his neck.
Ooh.
Now, and I'm serious about that. People knew, especially with me, you don't take nothing from me. You don't. Yeah, they knew that back in those days. So
he got what he got.
He got what he got. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what he told his mother. I thought I was going to be in trouble after he told his mother, and then his mother told my mother, but he didn't. Just love that Grady laugh, Baba. I laugh like Shady Grady.
I hope they're not talking about me. I'm pretty sure.
No, they said just love that Grady laugh, Baba. Let me see. The tail eye vision is one of his mind control tools. One of whose mind control tools? The brother that took my apple? Well, tried to take my apple?
Oh, boy.
Let me see. He bit your apple. Boy, that would have been horrific for him if he had bit my apple. But that'd mean I move really slow if he bit my apple. I really just came back in room after eating handful of peanuts. Yeah. Wow.
Could have turned it into a Snickers bar I manifesto.
My wife loves peanuts. My children love peanuts. I think all of them, but not me.
I don't love peanuts, but I did back then. I did love a Snickers. I don't. Of course, I don't mess with them.
I can't eat Snickers anyway. But even when I could, Snickers would always give me like a rush of energy I didn't like. Probably from that sugar.
Yeah, probably.
And that's probably why I didn't eat Milky Ways either, which is basically a Snicker bar without the peanuts.
Is it? I guess so.
Yeah, I would maybe once a year, if that, eat a Snicker bar, and I always had to have like big bottle of water or milk or something with it to drink that handle that sugar. Love peanuts. It's a Georgia thing, I think, especially boiled.
Brittany, all I read from that is that you're here and that you don't come to class. And that's all I took away from it.
Now, I did too, but I don't know. It may be a Georgia thing. I don't know, but all of my children, well, all of them have lived in Georgia. All of them have lived in Georgia. But all of them weren't born in Georgia. I got 4 of them that were born in Chicago. Let me see. No, 5 of them that were born in Chicago. And 4 were born here in Georgia. Is Chicago a decent place to live today? Yes. Chicago has always been a decent place to live if you could afford to live in a decent place.
That's like most places, man.
But if you can't afford to live in a decent place, I would say Chicago is not the place to live. Um, if you know you're gonna, well, that's all I'll say. Now, my family has lived in the hood in Chicago, and they've lived in the nice places in Chicago, which is where my sister and my mother live now. One of my sisters lives in Camarillo, California. She's wealthy. We talked about the mega preachers and all that stuff. Uh, I would say that she's on that. She's not a prosperity preacher though, but and her husband was the president of accounting for Kimberly Clark, Kleenex and tampons and all that stuff. Um, he was the president of accounting for years for them. Now, Brittany says Chicago is so beautiful. I can tell that you have been to Chicago as a tourist. Um, you know, I was talking to some students about Chicago, and one of my students, we all went to eat, and one of my students is from Chicago, and she says Chicago is beautiful, blah, blah, blah. I said, now, yes, there are beautiful parts of Chicago, but we ain't gonna lie to them. We're not gonna lie to them and tell them like it's all beauty. Now she's from the south side of Chicago, so she saw more beauty than I did. But now I went to Whitney Young, which is, and before that I went to Decatur Classical, which is a school for the gifted, and then I went to Whitney Young Academy, and then to Whitney Young itself, which is at that time it was the #1 high school in the United States. I don't know if it is now, but it's probably up there. So I saw beauty around the school, and the school's on the west side. But where I lived, it wasn't beauty. Downtown area, the river, the lake, the architecture, yes.
Yeah.
So the downtown area is nice. The river is nice. The lake is nice. The architecture is brilliant. Old, and our building was like, what I grew up in, my apartment building was like 200 years old. So yes, architecture is beautiful and brilliant. Yes, but then you also, when I grew up, right across the street from me, there was a vacant lot. There was a building. It was I forget what you call it. Well, we call it gangway buildings, but it had like 3 sections to it. It burned down to the ground, and it was just a vacant lot, never built up. And now it's built up, I believe, but it was never built up while I was there. And I manifesto ATL is easier to live as far as cost. Yes, it is. Chicago graffiti isn't as prevalent or artistic as New York. No. It's not. Chicago graffiti a lot of times is gang symbology. Whereas in New York, you got symbols of artists drawing their job, and it's on the trains and all of that. We don't have art like that on the trains. You'll see graffiti like just some regular line out. The brother in my rap group, one of the brothers, Crush, he was a graffiti artist, like a real graffiti artist. But most people I know, they just drew gang stuff.
There was some graffiti in Atlanta. I haven't been on the train for a while, but sometimes you would pass some really nice graffiti in Atlanta, and I almost feel like they specifically did it because you could see it from the train, And now though, there's so
Well,
many.
there's this tunnel that you can't see it from the train.
Oh, Krog Street,
Yeah,
yeah,
Clark Street.
tunnel.
That has a lot of graffiti.
And it's specifically set aside for people to come and do their graffiti and their art there.
Right.
So it's constantly changing.
When I
But
went to the west or south side, it felt more like home. Not gonna lie, all the black folks. Oh yeah, um, and it depends on where you went, but anywhere you go on the west or south side, yeah, it's gonna be tons of black folks. Unless you go over by, and now in Hyde Park, when I grew up, it was about 90% black. But that's the artsy part of Chicago. And I remember when we first went there, well, not first went there, when I took my wife to Hyde Park for the first time, I was shocked that so many Asians and whites were down there. Now, they'll be down there because you got University of Chicago in Hyde Park, right? They'll and a lot of whites lived around the university and neighborhoods like that. I'll be down there because the minister's home was in Hyde Park. But when you go into the business part of Hyde Park back in the day, there's a lot of black businesses, and it was really nice. But it was funny. I was telling my wife that, and I could look at her and tell she wasn't believing me. And then, like, yeah, right. This was mainly black. But she went into this store that sold African artifacts. And the woman was telling her, because I guess she was telling the woman, like, my husband told me that, it was mainly blacks down here at first. And she said, yeah, that's true. Chicago is raggedy old and full of rats. The mayor and governor are lazy or don't care. Wow, tell us how you really feel about Chicago now. It's old. It's not raggedy old, and it's not full of rats. That's New York. Now, we used to have the super rats. Used to. They lasted for about a year and a half, if that. Now, speaking on the mayor and governor, I don't know if they lazy, but I say don't care. Yeah, I would say that.
even the new mayor, or I mean, is he relatively new? The
Yeah,
brother.
Yeah, I still say that they don't care. The minister's home looks like a tiny mansion. It is a tiny mansion. It is a tiny mansion. Obama home has tree lined around like a wall. Now I've never seen this house. Waukegan and the suburbs are clean and updated. Well, yeah, because those are the suburbs. Um, like the suburb Crete. Crete is a suburb of mostly black people, and it's clean and updated. Yeah. Now, if you go downtown in Chicago, that's clean
Right.
and it's got some updated parts to it now. But part of the charm of that downtown is the old architecture.
Yeah, there's also tons of stores down there, like
Oh yeah,
every store you could think of.
yeah. And we got an immense downtown. I remember a brother told me, he was like, why is your downtown so big? He said, I went down there and I was like, I'm looking for so and so, and people were like, oh, that's about 5 miles down that way. I said, yeah, uh, we got a big downtown. That stretches from part of the north side, part of the west side, mainly west side, down all the way down to the south side. It's huge. And if anybody knows those sides, um, you know how big it is. I think as a southerner going up north and working and studying, critique often felt like criticism because there was less hand holding when telling you what needed improvement. Um, Critique often felt like criticism because there was no hand holding. Yeah, you don't have to hold hands when you're critiquing. Uh, and you certainly don't do it when you criticize. So I can see that. Went to a soul food buffet spot in Chicago. It wasn't slapping. It wasn't slapping. I don't know which one you went to. I didn't go downtown. I was close in oldest black owned motel. Oldest black owned motel. What's up was like they had those streets that go under overhead train tracks like Cooley High. Yes, many streets are like that. Downtown is not anymore. It's not like it was before COVID.
Hmm. I don't think
Well, I just went to Chicago a couple of weeks ago, and it was well. I guess because I know where to go, so it was still on and popping when I went. I know it wasn't MacArthur. Laughing out loud.
I don't
MacArthur.
think there's much that's the same as it was before COVID though. There's so many I know down
Yeah,
here. There's so many
shit.
spots
Yeah,
closed. I've read
there,
about a bunch of spots closing in Chicago. You know.
yeah. There are a bunch of. I mean, spot not just downtown. There are a bunch of spots even in the neighborhoods that are closed, since COVID, and in Atlanta, it's
I mean, it is rampant.
it's this one place that we used to go to, a vegan restaurant, and it just shut down. It was owned by a sister who's a nurse,
and her brother.
and her brother, she let him run it, and it was gone after COVID.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of buffet spot. I was with a group catering situation. Ain't no soul food downtown. No, it's not. There used to be a restaurant called Soul by the Pound downtown, and that was so expensive because they were trying to sell soul food like it was delicacy food to white folk.
Right. I was gonna say, and they were probably getting.
Oh yeah, now they were making a killing. They were making a killing at first.
All those office buildings and stuff.
And then even white folks got hip to the idea that this food, you can get it cheaper if you go into the hood. So vegan spots being hit hard in ATL.
And Chicago too.
Yeah. Now there's a spot in Chicago called I Can't Believe It's Not Meat. And that is banging. That is banging.
That's funny.
And I've never been to that place and it's not packed. We went to a Polish spot too, where, I mean, that's all over Chicago. So in Chicago, we have a Polish sausage called a Maxwell Street Polish. It used to be called Jewtown Polish, but now in political correctness, people say Maxwell Street. The reason why, because Jewtown was centered on Maxwell Street. Jewtown was this place where Jewish mercantilers set up business, like tailors and things of that. And so people there, blacks and whites, called it Jewtown. And in fact, some Jewish friends of mine called it Jewtown. But then I guess some Jews said, this is incorrect to call it that. So now people say Maxwell Street. But it'll be 50 miles from Maxwell Street. And people, be saying, we got Maxwell Street Polishes. And what that means is it's a Polish sausage that has a sliver of mustard and hot peppers and onions, grilled onions on it. That's a Polish sausage. That's a Maxwell Street Polish.
Were they all beef or they have?
They're all beef. They all, kosher beef because it was made by Jews. But actually, it was in Maxwell, on Maxwell Street. It was this place that was open 24 hours. And it was owned by Arabs, as far as I could tell, that were cooking the kosher beef sausages.
Anyone will franchise,
right?
Based on a popular idea, no matter who. I mean, most of the restaurants you go to, a lot of them, not all of them, but it's one certain type of people cooking the food in the back a lot of times, no matter what style of food it is.
Right. An original Maxwell Street restaurant recently opened on Campbellton Road. Wow. Okay. I have to tell my wife about that because I know she would like to try that. Thinking about moving soon, but want to make sure wherever I go, they have good training available. Now that in Chicago, they have. They got some great trainers in Chicago. In survival and in martial arts. So
It's funny.
Polishes are Italian and German.
Though the name Polish
Right,
suggests that they come from Poland.
right. It's actually uh, a smoked sausage,
Right.
you know. And we also are famous for the Italian beef, which is Italian. Italian beef is uh, shredded beef that's cooked slowly, um, and it's cooked slowly to allow the seasonings they put in it to sink into it, and that's put on uh, a bun, and then with giardiniera peppers. That's Italian beef.
And there's a dip too, right? I mean, not necessarily for the Italian beef, but there's like a dip sandwich or something too, isn't there?
No, so with Italian beef, you can get it dipped, and most
Oh,
people
okay,
do.
it is.
Because if not, the bread would be really hard. So you can get it dipped once, twice, or three times. Three times, your job would be like just water, basically.
Falling apart.
But
Okay.
yeah, now where you can get decent training at, you can move to Atlanta and, of course, get decent training from me.
Come on, Jadarian.
You can move to Chicago and you can get decent training from several people. Yeah, I'll talk to you about that offline. Chicago or East Coast pizza? What do you
Don't
like
start
best?
that.
Now, what do I like best? Chicago pizza, of course.
Well,
Stuffed pizza. Now we have a brother in our class, Amo Soon. He's from New York, and he likes Chicago pizza best too.
you talking about the deep dish?
Well, that's what Chicago's known for.
Right.
Yes.
But I mean, that's not the only pizza that, yeah.
Yes. Now, the East Coast, especially when you go to like Manhattan and stuff like that, it's known for
Foldable slice.
right. And we have that, but that we call Sicilian pizza. But the Chicago pizza, what people think of when they think of that is a deep dish pizza. It's not even deep dish; it's stuffed. So a deep dish means it's a deep dish, and you got your fillings, and that's it. You know, you got the deep crust, and then the filling. A stuffed pizza from Chicago is the crust, filling, crust, filling. That's how that's made. That's how that's made. It's not deep dish. It's a stuffed pizza, and it's really heavy, and it will get you full. Like a whole stuffed pizza, I can get full off of 2 slices. I eat it with cheese and pineapple. A regular pizza, I can eat that whole thing.
Wow.
So, LA is known for Bloods and the Crips.
I was trying to figure out where that went.
Giordano's stuff and Lou Malnati's is deep dish. Now, have I had Lou Malnati's? I don't know, but Giordano's I've had, yes. Some Polish are Russian, German, or Jewish. LA is known for the blood crew. Let's see. Gina's
Yeah, I
deep
like
dish.
pineapple on pizza too. I manifesto.
Yeah.
I love pineapple on pizza. My son raves about it. He is constantly starting up asking people about if they'll eat pineapple on pizza. I think when you have actually had it, I think the argument comes from people who haven't really had it that much.
Yeah.
I
Now,
think when you have it, it works.
when, especially if you got good pizza.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to Chicago, there's a place called Uno's that you can get pizza from too, and they got great pizza. The regular type and stuffed pizza, but they got some good pineapple pizza. Now, if you go to Phoenix, Arizona, you'll find a Uno's in Phoenix. It tastes different because the water is different. The secret is in the water. So I had a coworker who bought a Uno's pizza from when I was living in Phoenix. He bought an Uno's pizza because I'm from Chicago. And the guy told him, he said, now tell him it's going to taste different because the water's different. And he said, that's our secret. And it did taste, it was good though, but it tasted different. He had a franchise because there's one in Southern California. Oh, really? Uno's?
The water must affect like the dough or something. Is that what?
Yeah. Water affects the dough.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I imagine the Cali one tastes different too because the water's different.
Way different. I'm sure.
Yeah, we got hard water in Chicago. So, but California and Phoenix, they got soft water.
Yeah, I honestly sometimes feel fortunate. I mean, I think my mom definitely is a foodie because she's one of the people who has a hard time. But though I'm originally from Chicago and raised mostly here, I don't have that much of attachment to the food because a lot of the food is so bad for, like I'm grateful that I don't have, even though Southern food too, which people become very attached to, can be horrible for you too. But I just have found a lot of people in my family, like it's like no matter what is happening to them on a physical level, they cannot stop eating and raving about that food. Like it's like kind of a secret, like they just, I don't know. I never really understood it, but it's like no matter, they could be falling apart and they're still talking about uh any random well known, talking about Polishes and all of that stuff. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like
Folks would order that pineapple and ham, jobs and stuff. Had to leave it at jobs and stuff. Had to leave it alone. Now, pineapple and ham.
that's pretty common.
Yeah, that's common.
That's the Hawaiian.
But I don't know if it's common on pizza. You talking about pizza?
That's the Hawaiian pizza. That's what they call it.
Yeah. Now, ham on pizza, that's gross. Yeah.
Oh yeah, people. I mean, that is
But I know people do
Very
ham,
popular.
bacon, all kinds of stuff.
Whatever you can put on there.
I used to eat from this place. It was a mom and pop pizza place in Chicago, in the neighborhood. I used to eat um, shrimp pizza from them. I used to tear it up. It was good.
Yeah,
Um,
but mom and pop places, those are some of the best places a lot of times.
yeah, I like that crispy bar pie style pizza. I don't know what that is. Calzone. I don't know what that is.
Excuse me. I don't know either. Mm-mm.
Hawaiian
I
pizza.
do like
Yes. And what's funny, Hawaiian pizza, which that sounds crazy, but
right. It's a gimmick.
uh, yeah, because I don't even think Hawaiians are that big on pizza. I had shrimp pizza. Yeah, not the shrimp pizza I had was great.
Yeah, I've had that before too.
Yeah,
That
I
was
wouldn't I wouldn't eat it now because I don't eat shrimp, but but it was good. When it lasted.
yeah. There's a place down here. I can't remember the name of it, but years ago I used to go there and get the shrimp pizza.
Yeah, I only found it at that one place in Chicago. I forgot the name of the damn place. No.
Yeah, there's a place here. It's a vegan spot called Plant Based Pizzeria, and they do. Brittany's talking about white sauce. That's what they do. A white sauce with vegan shrimp pizza. It's a konjac root, which is like a sea vegetable. So it has
Yeah.
like a very of the sea taste to it. Some people think it's shrimp sometimes. I remember, yeah, when we went to the vegan spot we were just talking about, they were famous for this po' boy that they would have. And she was
Yeah.
eating it. She was like, "Is this shrimp?" Because it just, I don't know, somehow they are able to really get the flavor in there. But
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's a good spot. Plant based pizzeria.
They do it on white pie sometimes. I don't know what white pie is, but and speaking of that, if we got any folks from Baltimore because Baltimore is famous for white potato pie. And now I had a chance to eat white potato pie. One of my cousins died, and he's half black, half white. And his white side of the family, they came, and one of them was from Baltimore, and they brought a white potato pie. And I said, "Oh man, white potato pie! I'm gonna try this." And my mother, like, just calmly moved me back.
What's
You
like?
know, like no.
I think I would have had to do that too.
I think if it was made by black people, she would have let me try it, but
Right.
she wasn't letting me try no white potato pie.
Yeah, that's too many whites.
Yeah, and I was like, ugh. After a while, I said, ugh, that been gross. But I know this brother, Chris Mosby, he's from Baltimore, and he was like, that is actually a black pie there because in Baltimore they couldn't grow sweet potatoes, and they didn't. I guess they didn't ship them or something, and
I
so
think it's pronounced Baltimore.
they would take the white potato, and the blacks learned to make white potato pie.
I could imagine making a really good pie with regular potatoes. Yeah, yeah, it definitely could be done.
Yeah, and now I've had squash pie, and that's good.
Oh, that's funny. We went to
That's shepherd's pie without the ground beef. Well, shepherd's pie also got corn in it, and
that's funny.
so Chicago
We
makes you talk about food because it's a down home feeling town. It is
uh,
it is a down home feeling town. In fact,
That's probably
my mother and her family. We got a huge family. Her side of the family is from Yazoo, Mississippi, in the Delta. My father also is from the Delta, but like my mother calls him a hillbilly. My mother, who's from Yazoo, Mississippi, called my father a hillbilly. He's from Barn, Mississippi.
Wow. My
And,
family is from Belzoni, Mississippi.
and my father said he never saw a black man with shoes, including himself, until he went to the military.
So he was a hillbilly.
He said the only black folks that he saw with shoes on was the preacher and the white man. That's how he says, the white man. It was the preacher and the white man. That's all he saw with shoes on.
Wow.
He said everybody else was just barefoot. I said,
that's a lot.
And my mother said, yeah, see, he was a hillbilly. Because my mother and them, they had shoes.
Right.
So he got his first pair of shoes, which were combat boots, when he went to the military.
That is, wow, what a story.
Yeah.
As I was saying, my family is from Belzoni, and this summer we went to my grandmother's high school reunion. Me and my son and my mom went with her. And it is so close to Yazoo that is actually where we stayed, because that they had like the nicest, kind of small hotel in the area that we could get. And it was like a 25-minute drive back and forth, but it was worth it because the hotel was very decent. The hotels that are closer are all, so old, just like dilapidated.
Now, we went to Yazoo a few years ago, and we went to this restaurant that my mother recommends, and I don't know what she recommended this restaurant for. They had a black man in there standing with a cloth over his arm.
It's called a side towel. That's what we call it in the industry.
Side towel?
Yeah.
He had a side towel on his arm. I said, what? They got this brother stepping and fetching up in there.
Wow.
And he was like, let me take you to your seats. He took us to our seats. I said, man, this is terrible. Now, of course, I put my own spin on it. I'm like, they got this man standing here, probably got him enslaved, standing there. I turned the man to a slave. But
if you are actually serving, a side towel can be very useful if you know what to do.
Well, I thought like it was some slave shit.
That's hilarious.
Wow. Damn feet like leather. Yeah. Mm-hmm. My father's feet. In fact,
it must have been hard to wear shoes.
He had a burnt up leg. That was from the military. He wouldn't talk about what happened to him, but from what I understand, he was taken prisoner and they tortured him trying to get information. When I asked him about it, he said, well, I'm still here. They're not. And that's all he said. But all right, hold on a second. Take it on, Monika. I got to get this door. Well, no, my wife's coming in. She got a key. Hey.
I would imagine it's hard to put shoes on when you're not used to wearing them. Like that's got to be really.
Come in the kitchen and eat the food.
Yeah, I mean, you know, um, I never talked to my old man about that, about how hard it was, which by I imagine it was.
Mhm.
Y'all probably hear my daughter. She's complaining. She wants to eat her.
Oh,
She got a fruit cup. She wants to eat it in the room, and my wife's like, no, eat at the table. So,
I thought she wanted to come say hi to the family.
well, she said hi, but I you know
Okay.
I ain't stop her, but her mother stopped her. Yeah, I said that. Yeah. So my wife said she wanted to eat the fruit cup and watch her show.
You said did she watch the children's show that is on the Black Power Media children's show in the on that comes on before? Well, it's in the morning. It's not directly before this show, but I haven't gotten a chance to catch it yet.
Well, you know that show it canceled.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the brother canceled it
Oh,
as I think he does a radio show or something. For some reason he canceled it, but yeah,
oh, that's
had
a
me
shame.
thinking it was my door. That story about shoes is real common. Really? Hmm.
Wow.
You know some folks from the real country then.
Yeah, I've never heard. I've never heard of a person. Maybe we just haven't talked about it. That could be the case. But I have
Yeah.
never heard of a person that had not
Now,
didn't wear shoes until they were an adult.
yeah,
Like
I
that.
only heard it from my father, but I imagine well he said the only people he saw, so the people in this town, obviously they didn't have on shoes either. Much
No,
respect, Warrior Class, in my opinion, the best show on YouTube. Wow, thank you.
thank you, Eugene Mason. I I thought you were talking about the Brothers show because part of your comment is blocked on my screen because it has something in front of it. So I was like, oh wow, he had the best show on YouTube.
Who are you talking about?
The one who had the show that we were talking about that got canceled.
Oh no. Now he had a great show,
Yeah, trustful
but
advertising.
it only had like 2 or 3 episodes.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, maybe it just didn't get the traction that he wanted.
I don't know. It was pretty popular though. Yeah, Uncle Devin. Yep.
Oh, it was popular. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Maybe he'll bring it back.
But no, my daughter Kikiola, she didn't watch the show because she wasn't born yet when Uncle Devin came out.
Oh, I thought it was recently.
No.
Well, they must be replaying it or something because I have seen recently where it's been advertised or something.
Hmm. Uh, I love it here. What up, fam? Lovely Ominiki. Where be at though? Um, Belay is at work. Uh, I
Thank you
think
for that.
I think he will be with us next week or the week after. Though,
That would be great.
what's a good show out? Is Baba gonna watch new Game of Thrones prequel? Um, yeah, but a good show that's out. Welcome to Derry.
I haven't. I
You
still
haven't. If
haven't
you,
watched it, but now I'm waiting for all of the episodes to come out since I've been so
all of them
excited.
are out. All of them
Oh,
are
okay,
out.
I can
This
start
season.
today then.
So you should watch Welcome to Derry. Um, whether you're into horror or not, well, you got to be somewhat into horror because it's horrific. Um, but it has more black people on that show than any show I've seen in the last probably 10 years or more.
Well,
Yeah,
the book has a black
it
story.
right, and it is definitely a black story. Welcome to Derry. That's what it's
But
called.
they don't go much like in the movies. I don't think they had it at all in the first movie, the one from the 80s or whatever. But even in these It movies that came out recently, they didn't go into the black storyline much. It was just a little bit. But I can imagine that they were able to extract the show off of, because that book is so complex. It has so many different storylines that I could see them being able to do a black show off of it, or a mostly black show.
Right.
Uh,
Somebody said they're 74. Their father didn't have shoes. Yeah,
wow, that's what's up.
yeah.
And much respect to you. We appreciate you being here, the Empress Reign.
Right. What's your feelings on the occult, OG? My feelings on the occult. From now, I'm a fiction writer, by the way. Um, from a writer's standpoint, I like it. From I'm a priest too, in the African tradition. From that standpoint, the occult is the occult. That's all I can say about that. Let me see. That prequel was a good book. Remind me a bit of Knight's Tale. Which prequel?
I think they're
Now,
talking about the Game of Thrones.
all the actors are fantastic on that show. Yes, on
Oh, Welcome to Derry.
Welcome to Derry. Yes,
I know one of the brothers
amazing.
on there came from the Perry Mason show. Remember, I was telling you about the Perry Mason that was remade on HBO, and he was really good on that show too.
Mm.
I've been watching. It came out on, I think, Thanksgiving, and then a couple of days ago, the second half ish of the season came out of Stranger Things, the last season of Stranger Things.
Oh yeah. So I
So,
just watched part 2 of the last season
mhm.
yesterday, and then
Yeah,
we got the final episodes coming next week.
right. Yeah, it's
Now,
gonna be released in movie theaters too.
he said, "Does Baba know if I can get a good reading from Adwirapo?" I don't know what his skill is as far as divining,
Greetings, Okiki.
but you can get a good reading from my wife. I'll tell you that. Um, you could have got a good reading from me when I was doing readings, but I'm not doing them anymore. But you can certainly get a good reading from my wife.
Yeah, Bo.
That I can tell you. I don't know about Adwirapo. I do know that he has a revolutionary mindset. I know that.
Where is that brother based?
My brother,
I'm not sure. No, not your brother Ade. I'm not sure where he's based.
Her
It's
brother.
somewhere in the United States, I believe. The Game of Thrones book about the Hedge Knight young Dunk and young Targaryen Egg. Dunk and Egg. I don't know about them.
That's the one that's coming out. About Duncan the Tall. The one that's coming out next month.
Oh,
It's
I
called.
didn't know. I didn't know that was happening next month.
Oh yeah, it's coming out next month, and then House of the Dragon, I think, is supposed to come out in the summer. Oh right, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. That's what it's called.
Okay. I have to watch that.
Mm-hmm. Should be soon. Egg is supposed to be the brother of the when Jon Snow was in the Night's Watch, you know, the what do they call him? He wasn't a priest. The one who he found out was Targaryen.
Yeah.
That's
What do they call
kind of
maestros? Mike. What do they call
Maester,
maestros?
right?
Maesters. Yeah.
So they I guess it's kind of close, like right before what, whereas House of the Dragon is like 200 years before Game of Thrones. This has got to be like right before Game of Thrones if his brother is in it, you know, and he's
Yeah.
still alive. So it should be interesting.
Jon Snow knows nothing. Yeah, his woman told him that because his head bald to hide. Okay.
Thanks for the spoiler, I Manifesto. Greetings, Okiki. Did you eat your fruit cup?
No, she got it. It's right here. It's not even open yet.
Rebellious.
Okay. Okay. Go to the dining room. Eat your thing. Eat your cup. No, go eat your cup. No, I can't go with you right now. All right, y'all. So, any questions? She's so cute. Thank you. Thank you.
She really is. Her little outfits.
No. Go to your mother and see if she'll open it for you. That was her manipulation. She said, come with me.
Mm-hmm.
So she figured I can if I come with her, then
You got the pull.
right. Any of you on Twitter? No, I have a Twitter account. I think
I maybe started one. I can't remember.
but I'm never on that Twitter X, whatever it's called now.
Yeah.
I'm never on there.
Why do you ask, Code Knox? Should we be on Twitter?
I don't even think Belay's on Twitter, and he's all over the damn social media.
I think he is on Twitter, actually. I don't think he really uses Twitter, but I remember him talking about like early on being on Twitter a lot. Like that it was a regular thing for him. I want to say it was Twitter, but now I don't think he goes on there at all.
You got Twitter, TikTok, Kick,
Whoa.
Facebook, Instagram, OnlyFans. You got all kinds of
Threads.
Yeah, Threads, and it's another one which I'm never on. What's it called? Fan base, and you got so many now.
Oh, he said he was gonna. Oh, I'm sorry, Code Knox. I'm not sure if you're a man or not, but Code Knox is gonna show us a clip of the self-defense guy who be teaching how to take a gun from people.
How to take a gun from people. Oh boy. So I've had a couple of students approach me about teaching gun disarms. I could teach it, but yeah, blue sky, yes. But it will likely get you shot if you try to do a gun disarm, to be honest. I would say pressure test any technique you learn with a gun. You can do that with a paintball gun or whatever. try to take it from different positions or what have you, and see what happens. Some disarms absolutely work, but not all, and not from all positions. No.
Yeah, well, and like you said, if it's not pressure tested, then even if it works, even if the mechanics work, it may not work when you're under stress and duress.
Right. He's hilarious. They be making memes of him. You talking about the old brother from Dust? He's from Dust Martial Arts in Detroit. Because they've been making memes about him and videos, and in fact, he's made a couple of videos that are funny. And he's trying to be funny, but yeah. The Arab guy, no, I don't know about him, who disarmed the shooter at Bondi Beach, took 2 shots, but he survived. An elderly couple tried to disarm another one of the shooters, and they both died. Yeah, I knew about the elderly couple who both died.
I saw a video of the other guy.
I didn't know about the Arab guy. Now, he took 2 shots, but he survived. Taking shots from a gun sucks. I'm sure y'all can figure that out.
Right.
But, I mean, you're going to go through all kinds. I knew a guy, he didn't get shot by nobody else. He got shot by himself. He ricocheted. He shot indoors on a range, and he hit this beam in there in the range, and the thing ricocheted and just grazed him, and he got immediately nauseous. He's going in and out of consciousness just from a graze. So to take 2 shots from a gun, oh man, I know that guy was sick as hell. He was hit in the arm and hand. Yeah, it's still bad. I know a guy, he was hit in his arm. He tried to rob these Arabs in a store, and they shot him with a 25. Hit him in his arm. The bullet was sticking out his arm. And he caught me on the street and said, I need to go to a hospital. I said, what? And he looked down his arm. I said, oh my God, what the hell? And by the time, so I called the ambulance for him. By the time they got there, this guy was like just a shaking mess. It didn't penetrate all the way. It was a 25, so it's weak in power. But it had him shaking like a stripper. He was hitting his arm.
Shock, or you think the maybe the metal was starting to poison his blood or something like that?
It certainly was. Yes. The metal was. It's from 2. It's one, he shot, and so shock was setting in, and then the metal, I'm sure, was poisoning his blood.
Yeah.
Did you snatch the bullet out? No.
Bleed out.
Right. If I snatched that bullet out, yeah, he would have been bleeding like a mug. So no. That'd have been cool though. Dig it out and then cauterize the wound with a hot knife and stuff. Yeah, like in the movies.
I was gonna say, yeah. Let that poison stay inside his body.
No, because I'd have done a 7 hit and then just remove the poison.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Took it to myself and then
right. I didn't know you could do that. My bad. That was,
oh yeah. I often take poison from bullets into myself. Oh man, I've seen some movies where that a dude took it. Dude wasn't shot, but he was poisoned with some kind of martial technique or whatever, and he grabbed the dude and took the poison to himself. Meditated it off. Like, I know meditation. I've been doing martial arts for over 50 years. I can't take no poisons out of your system like that. I can't do that. He applied chewed up grass and herbs. That'd have been nice. That'd been nice.
Mm-mm.
Did you snatch the bullet out? Now that'd have been incredible though if I could do that.
Yeah, for sure. Any of those.
Then just rub my thumb across the wound and it closes. That'd be cool.
Green Mile Shaolin. That's what I was gonna say
Right.
too. It sound like John Coffey. Shaolin technique.
Right. No, John Matcha, because it's the it's the healing technique in Shaolin. So the matcha instead of coffee. All right, y'all. So we're gonna end here. We're ending somewhat early. And we hope that you are safe in your homes. Be safe in your home. Be safe when you go outside.
Absolutely.
Or wherever that is may be.
I was gonna say in review, I know that the content wasn't as long as far as the critique versus criticism, but review it because it's valuable information.
Right. So review it, discuss it amongst yourselves, discuss it with us offline if you want. And we will see you next week.
Well,
Peace.
peace. Love y'all. Thank you.
Yes. Oh, stay black or whatever it is you may be. Now, normally this will say it'll say in the broadcast, but there's no in the broadcast tab up here. That is really strange. All right. So I think it's just I think it's bigger. I think the screen's bigger than it should be or something. Yeah, here it is. Okay. All right, y'all.
Peace.
Till next week. Peace.